First question is, where did you get your negative self-assessment? Now, hang in with us because we're going to tie these 7 things together in just a moment. But where did you get this idea that you are not worthy? Where did that come from? The idea that you are not deserving or that other people don't like you. Where did that come from? Where did it come from? Well, it came from other people, your experience with other people, specifically with narcissists. They impress upon you that they are worth more than you, that they are more deserving than you, that they are more likable than you, and that you're just a fool. And yeah, we can say it. You know, at the very onset, there was that love bombing, the love bonding. We talk about that all the time, but now we're past that. And the real narcissist has come to the surface, but he's still playing this game with you. Trauma bonding, where he's your friend, he's not your friend, this is your love interest, they're not your love interest. They're treating you with a little bit of respect and dignity just to keep you on the line. Then they treat you with a lot of disrespect, totally strip you of all dignity. So let me ask you this question again, framing it as when you were a baby. Let's say you were abandoned in a jungle, and you cannot ever remember being around other people, ever. You just kind of raised yourself in the jungle, Tarzan. And there were no narcissists around to make you feel unworthy. There were no narcissists around to make you feel undeserving, to make you feel like you were not likable. So what would you think about yourself right now if it were not for the input, the impact of narcissists? How would you feel? If you had never met the narcissist, any of them, how would you feel about yourself right now? Chances are you'd feel a whole lot better. So what you're feeling really is not self-assessment. It is the narcissist assessment of you, and you have taken it upon yourself. It is their assessment vicariously. It is inputted to you, imputation, and you accept it as your own, but it's not. So the first thing we need to understand is our negative self-assessment is not self-assessment. It's negative narcissist assessment, and we've adopted it. Number 2 is we need to get a handle on this principle very quickly. Let me say this, and we're going to tie these things together in a second. But potential follows perception. So whatever perception you have of yourself, your potential is not going to go beyond that or above it. We'll talk about that in some more detail when we tie these things together. But whatever your perception of yourself is, if you feel like you're not worthy, you're going to behave that way. If you think you are undeserving, you're going to behave that way, and other people are going to pick up on it, and they're going to agree with you because, yeah, they don't want you to be deserving. If you feel like you're not likable, and I guarantee you there are going to be some people, maybe a lot of people, who don't like you. That's a judgment call. That's not reality. That's relative. But if you view yourself as being unlikable, you can never get beyond that. Never. So what we say is potential follows perception. Number 3 is you need to have direction and you need to have control. What good is direction without control? So you have a sense of direction, but somebody else is driving and they're going to go the direction they want to go in. Now, if their direction and your direction are the same, then I guess it's kind of okay, but still, you're not in control, so you're not guaranteed you're going to go the direction, the place, the way that you want to go or you need to go. Let's use this illustration. Let's supposing you go to purchase a car. New car, used car, doesn't matter, whatever. You find a car, you love it, it's the right price, everything about it you think is perfect. This is the ideal car. You make an agreement with a salesman and you buy the car. Now you go out and you get in the car to drive it home. And you can't help but to notice the steering wheel is missing. It was there before. Where did it go? So you go in and you talk to the salesman and you say, the steering wheel, somebody took it off. And the salesman looks at you and he says, oh, the steering wheel. Yeah, that's $1,000 extra. You got to have a steering wheel, right? It's got to be there. Has a salesman ever done that? I wouldn't be surprised. I'd never heard of it before, but the point is, everything about the car could be perfect. Everything about you could be in line totally, but if you do not have the steering mechanism, if you are not in control, what good do the wheels do? What good does the engine do if you can't steer it? What good is it? So you got to have a steering mechanism in your life. And without that steering mechanism, you got to be in control because you can't go to your destination. Someone else has to drive you and you have to rely on them. Sometimes that's okay, but a lot of times it's not okay. You know, as we get older, a lot of people don't like the thought of having to live in a restaurant. And the reason is because they're out of control. Somebody else is doing everything for them, and not always the way they want them to do it. And a lot of times they're flat out abused. Number 4 is, okay, so how do you fix all this? Well, you immerse yourself in the right environment. That is to say, you surround yourself with people. You've probably heard this before. But you surround yourself with the right thinking, right talking kind of people. Now, when I was a kid, teenager, my mom would say this like every day. She would look at me and say, birds of a feather flock together. What she meant by that was, you are going to be attracted to people who are like you. And if you are attracted to bad people, that suggests that you are a bad person. So you can tell something about your character by the people you are attracted to. That was her way of kind of steering me away from the bad crowd. Now, I'm not sure that's totally true. But it's true that birds of a feather flock together. But a lot of times we are attracted to a crowd of people not because we like them or we like their behavior, but it's because we just want to feel accepted. So we go in with the wrong crowd. Are we conscious of that? So, are these people making you feel worthy? Are they making you feel deserving? Are they making you feel likable? Well, maybe, but if they're still the bad crowd, that's not a group that you want to be in. So you have this multi-layer of how you want to surround yourself, the people who create your environment. And I said this before, I'd rather be that baby abandoned in the jungle than to be in the wrong crowd, be with the wrong tribe. I'd be better off, in my opinion. I think all of us would be, because we don't have those negative influences. So the thing to do is to consciously, willfully, purposely seek out those individuals who will encourage us, not just make us worthy, deserving, and likable, because, anybody can do that. Maybe just to take advantage of us. Narcissists do that all the time. But find out somebody who is genuine, who has your best interest at heart and at mind. Hard to tell with a narcissist because, that bonding stage, they can fool us. And they fooled me more times than I care to admit. I'm in my 70s. I've learned a thing or two. I'm sharing with you what I've learned. And one of the things that I've learned is you can't always tell in advance what your environment is going to be. But what about social media? Before you delve into social media, pay attention to who's participating in whatever. You could be Facebook or X or whatever you're in. I want to be around people who encourage me and build me up. Not like a narcissist does so he can take advantage of me, but because these are truly, genuinely positive, get-it-done people. Those are the ones I want to hang around. So what we need to do, number 5 then, is to allow ourselves to program ourselves. Because if we don't program ourselves, somebody else is going to program us in our place. Again, vicariously. Again, those negative self-assessments. Why do we feel like we are unworthy, not deserving, not likable? It's because somebody else programmed us. So what does that tell us? Well, it tells us that we didn't program ourselves. So would you intentionally program yourself to feel unworthy and undeserving and not likable? The answer is no. So the very fact that you feel those things suggests that you have been programmed by a narcissist. Now, it may have not been overtly controlling narcissist, but it could just be narcissistic personalities or narcissistic traits, and everybody has them. And you've picked up on those vibes, so to speak, and some of them were, they were overt. They were in your face. And you can't just walk away from them because they are there, but what you were doing is you were not programming yourself, you were letting others program you. And when you had those feelings of not feeling worthy, you did not counter it. And you got to tell yourself, hey, I am worthy, I am deserving, I may not be the most likable person on earth, but that is totally subjective. That is totally relative to their perception, not my own. It's their opinion, not my opinion. It's their control, their program, not my program. So that takes us back to the driving analogy. Steer your car. Don't let somebody else drive it for you. Number 6 is this. Default is what others think about you. Default is what narcissists say and think about you. You've been a victim of the smear campaign and you've noticed how everybody just falls in line with the lies. That's default. That's gravity. It just happens by default. Now, let's say that you are in an airplane. You and one other person, you and the pilot. And you're in the cockpit there with the pilot, and you're so many thousand feet up in the air, and the thought occurs to you that if this pilot passes out, what's going to happen? I'm going to have to take control of the plane and learn how to fly it really, really, really fast, or gravity is going to take over, gravity being default, and I'm going to crash and burn. I mean, those are the two options. You can be in control, or you can submit yourself to default, and default is gravity, crash and burn. If you are not controlling yourself, if you are not controlling your self-perception, your self-assessment, you are allowing narcissists, or even people with just narcissistic traits, maybe not overt, covert narcissists, but just people in general, tend to be negative. They like to put each other down because they like to climb on top of each other to reach that point of being the alpha male or alpha female or alpha person, to be politically correct. That's just human nature, and that is default. It is the gravity. So what are you going to do? Are we going to fly the plane, or are we going to submit to gravity, to default? I want to fly the plane. Don't know about you, but I want to fly the plane. How do you do that? Well, number 7 is we need to create good habits. Have you ever stopped to think about how many things in your life are routine? You do things routinely. I routinely make videos. I routinely get up in the morning and brush my teeth. I routinely take a shower every day. I routinely rather go out and walk or jog 3 miles a day. I routinely eat. I routinely go to the grocery store. I can go on forever and ever, and so can you. Why do we do those things? Because we've created habits. But there's some habits that we have not created, and we have left those things to the narcissist, to other people. And again, not overt, covert narcissists, but sometimes just your average Joe, and the average Joe does have narcissistic traits. We all do. And we let them create our habits for us. And so our habit is feeling unworthy. Our habit is feeling not deserving. It's habitual to think of ourselves as being unlikable. Well, make a habit of trying to make yourself likable. Is it going to work? Works sometimes with me, but not always. Because there's some people out there who are narcissistic in nature, who just are self-centered, and they're not going to like me. It just happens. But that's, again, as we said earlier, that's their opinion. That's relative to their point of perception, not mine. That is their perception. That's not mine. That's not everyone else's necessarily, but so what? So we create habits of having a sense, not of arrogance, not of narcissism, but a solid, healthy sense of self-esteem. Nothing, absolutely positively nothing, is wrong with that. Now let's tie these things together very quickly. And this is I'm paraphrasing something I heard Peter Sage say. This is not an exact quote, so I just kind of jotted it down as it came to mind. But it says something to the effect, you will never rise above your self-belief. You will never rise above your self-perception. So whatever you think of yourself, you're not going to, if you think of yourself as being unworthy, then you're never going to rise above that. You're going to behave as if you're not worthy. If you think of yourself as being not deserving, you're never going to rise above that. If a narcissist convinces you that you are not deserving, you're going to behave as if you're not deserving. And the narcissist has you where he or she wants you. If you behave like, or if you view yourself, have the self-perception, again, it's not your perception, it's somebody else's. You know, you were raised in the jungle all alone, and there is no one else to impress upon you that you are not likable, so you don't know that you're unlikable. As far as you're concerned, you are likable, and you probably are, but the narcissist has convinced you. Because you weren't left in a jungle. You were left to be around other people, a lot of narcissists. It's where you get these silly ideas, and you can never get beyond that. If you accept it, if that becomes your self-perception. Gotta emphasize this. Self-perception really is not self-perception. It is the perception of others with narcissistic traits that we have adopted imputation vicariously, and we've made them become as if they were our perceptions, our self-assessment rather. But they're not. See y'all next time.